the Awaken Your Ego podcast with Joanne and Ariana. We are a health podcast that explores topics to do with biohacking and self-discovery.
We are also on the self-discovery journey, and we want to attract listeners that are doing the same in order to help them realize they're not alone.
Ego differs from conventional medical spas and wellness centers. We believe that the secret to maximizing one's sense of self is in addressing the entire person, inside and out. We provide state-of-the-art aesthetic treatments as well as lifestyle management and holistic health solutions. We aim to please with our efficient and friendly customer service and guarantee with our scientifically proven alternative therapies and lifestyle optimizations that every patient will leave our care with a boosted ego. Our goal is to help our patients realize the necessity of self-care and to encourage them to prioritize their health and wellness goals. When we make self-care and confidence a priority, then we're able to bring to light our potential for happiness and growth. This podcast is a way to expand our reach so that we are able to spread the word on the importance of self, the whole self, inside and out.
This podcast is for educational purposes only. Please reach out to your medical provider if you have questions about any of the treatments we discuss to see if it's a right fit for you. Now on to our show.
Welcome to the Awaken Your Ego podcast. We're so excited that you're listening again, and I'm happy to introduce our guest, Sally Gerbo.
Thank you for having
Welcome,
me.
Sally.
Yes, thank you for coming. And Sally Gerbo, she's the owner and principal of Gerbo Designs, a marketing and brand communications firm passionate about helping businesses and organizations build strong brands. She started 16 years ago, and Gerbo Designs connects businesses to clients with creative vision, exceptional detail, innovative design for brand strategies, marketing, and promotional. A Modesto native, Sally earned a BA from Stanislaus State in organizational communications and maintains her commitment to our community. Sally encourages community connections and has served as a speaker for the Women's Business Symposium, Equip Women's Conference, as well as her community brand camp workshops. When not helping local businesses, you can find her with her husband, Ian, and her 3 children. Her favorite activities are traveling, cooking, treasure hunting, estate sales, and reading. So welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Very impressive. Before we start into our questions, Sally, is it okay if we do rapid fire?
Go for it.
Okay. So the goal is to answer as quickly as possible. Whatever comes to mind, we're going to do a minute. Okay?
Okay.
Started.
All right.
Perfect. And go.
What was your first job?
I was a retail sales associate at Ross Dress for Less.
Nice. What's your favorite month?
October.
What's your favorite animal?
The one that I don't have to take care of.
What's your favorite word?
That's so random.
My favorite word is one my kid said one time when he said, actually, my favorite word is actually.
That's funny. Who do you text the most?
My sister, Shelly.
Where did you go on your last vacation?
Mexico.
What is your favorite word in another language?
Gracias.
What's your favorite type of weather?
Fall.
What is your favorite store?
Target.
Mine too. What is your favorite type of music?
Chris Stapleton-ish.
Nice.
I love it. That was very loud. Time's up. Oh, that's awesome.
So you won.
You won. Totally won.
You're a winner here.
No, I love those questions because they catch everyone off guard.
Yeah,
And it's like, it makes you like,
I looked at my paper like, she didn't tell me any questions.
like, this isn't fair. You didn't give me the rapid fire questions.
For this.
All right. So Sally, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started your business?
So I am a Modesto native, and I grew up here. My twin sister and I are the youngest of 8 children. So we grew up in a house of a lot of people and interaction constantly. And I think that if I look back, you can see that my life now was predetermined and there at the very beginning. I took it upon myself to make a family newsletter when I was young, and I would put a birthday. We have a birthday in every month, so I would make note of whose birthday was that month, any big events that were happening that month. I was always really interested in art and design at a very young age, so it wasn't shocking to me that this is where my life has turned up. I have a degree from MJC and from CSU Stanislaus, and I'm an organizational communications major. So that sort of laid the groundwork for a career in communications and working on business and branding communications.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I wouldn't have guessed that you had such a big family. So I'm number 3 out of 6. So that makes me feel a little more normal.
See, I'm number 2 out of 6 as well. So it's funny how, like, growing up in a big family, you get used to that energy, you almost crave it sometimes, but also you realize, like, the spectrum of personalities within the same, you have exposure to similar things, but you all end up a little bit different. So that's cool.
And what it takes to get everybody on the same page and understanding a communication.
Oh, for sure. No, I love that. And then what kind of motivated you to start, like, your own graphic design marketing company?
So I was in marketing and discovered that I was expecting our first son. And 4 months into that pregnancy, I was laid off. It was in 2007, and things were going really downhill for a lot of businesses. So at that time, I pivoted. I had a lot of great connections and relationships and was able to get another job in marketing. But I let them know I'm expecting and don't intend to be here full time afterwards. So when my son was born, that's just what was in the cards. So I kind of hung out my shingle and said, I'm a graphic designer. I don't recommend doing the no plan, but it worked out. Luckily, I had, like I said, some great community connections, and just sort of one day at a time built up a client base. And the main motivator was being home with my son. So that's been 16 years now.
Oh, that's fantastic. When it shows you have a lot of courage, but also a lot of gumption to figure things out. Like, that's really cool, especially at a time like that, like 2007, that was a crazy time.
I think you have to not really know what it's going to entail to strike out on something on your own. I bet most entrepreneurs would say they had no idea what was coming, or they might not have done it.
Oh, no, definitely.
So what would you say sets you apart from other graphic designers?
I have actually had this described to me, and I would say it's that I'm very right brain and left brain. Not only am I very creative, I'm also very resourceful. I can do great design, but I also can do it in a timely manner and on budget, and my mind works with the numbers that it's going to take, and I can see that that's, analytically not the right strategy, or over here this one might be better. So that is one thing that is a little bit different from some artists who really value their art and don't want to be put into a parameter that it requires when you're doing it as a job. We focus entirely on our clients as a partner and comprehensively. And that was a little bit of a shift for our business in that I don't want to just do your business card. You need a business card, I'll do your business card. I want to work with you completely from the top down. What does your entryway look like? How do your employees present themselves? What's your elevator speech? It's kind of a global look at your business and how it presents itself.
No, I love that. And my interactions with you and your company have been nothing but fantastic.
Thank
just
you.
to give a little testimonial to you guys. But I feel like, I have a lot of ideas, obviously, with Ego all the time. But it's like, I feel like when I've worked with you, I've been able to bring all of my ideas, and then you bring that to life, and you listen to what I'm saying, and even, like you said, extrapolate even further, and then help me create cohesive designs, whether it's with a product or with our logo. Even you helped us create our logo.
Yep.
So you do a fantastic job, and you're very professional. So just in case anyone's doubting why we're having Sally on this podcast, it's because she's fantastic at what she does. How would you describe someone's personal brand?
So Jeff Bezos from Amazon said, the branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And that really sums it up the best. It's not really what you think your brand is. You can have an idea of what you want your brand to be. And if we're talking about a personal brand, the best way to get an idea of what that is to quiz the people around you, your best friend, the people who have hired you or who you work with, and ask them, how am I presenting myself? What are people thinking of me? I often tell new clients to ask for testimonials from their past clients, and those testimonials you can mine for adjectives that describe you and your business. And that really becomes your brand. It's really what they think of you. So if you're professional or sophisticated or consistent, these are aspirations that we might strive to have in our personal brand. If you're scattered and unreliable and disorganized, those are also branding words that might be used to describe you. So if you want to manage that, you first of all have to get in and figure out, what are people thinking of you?
I was preparing for the podcast a little bit, and I was looking on Instagram, of course, because that's where we all go to find out information. But there was this, he was a designer, marketer, kind of in a similar vein as you, and he described it beautifully, and I loved it. And he's like, marketing is what opens the door. It's what you get clients to. That's how you get clients to view your company. But the branding is what says welcome. And I'm like, that's so simply put, but there's so much in there where it's like, for sure, like I can put ads out, specials, whatever, but it's the brand that keeps people around.
Right. It's what they come to expect from their experience with your business.
No, definitely.
Another thing, especially talking about a personal brand or a person who's has their own business, is those voices in your head. And those can really contribute to your branding. If you have, and it goes to the imposter syndrome. And anybody who's listening to this that has not Googled imposter syndrome and doesn't realize that it's an actual thing that they started writing about in the 70s that women experience primarily, it's high achieving women that suffer from imposter syndrome the most. So it's very good to know you are among friends. The voices in your head that says, they're going to figure me out. They're going to figure out that I'm not as good as I say or as qualified as I say. That's normal. And the way to combat that is to grab onto a truth. Look at, you've been doing this for 16 years. You have all these clients who come back to you year after year. And then when those voices pop up in your head, and it's different for everybody, it's in the shower, it's driving, it's in bed, you can say those truths back to yourself. That's not true. I have 150 clients that have used me in the last year. I have clients that I've had for 10 years that still say great things about me. When you get those truths and hold on to them, that really changes the shift of your personal brand to believing, actually, I am who I say I am. I am as competent and qualified as I say I am.
No, definitely. I think that's great advice because I feel like that's totally something we've talked about a lot on here, but it's a real thing that happens. Even with me and my company, I feel the same way. Every once in a while, I'm like, are you this girl? And it's like, yes, I am. Like, it's like giving yourself permission to dismiss that lie, that creeping lie in your head.
And I like that you brought that up because you're allowing us to feel more normal about having that. And if anything, it's just building up your self-confidence. We can be successful people, but we can still have these little voices that can make us feel insecure.
Well, and it's like using that voice as either a detriment and a stop or using it as a tool to motivate to keep going. Like, how do I prove to myself that I am what I say I am?
Absolutely. I think, and I know everybody blames everything on social media, but let's face the facts that didn't exist 15 years ago, even less. I remember it would have been 2008, 2009, having lunch with someone from the Bay Area, and she was in real estate, and she was talking about how she was constantly talking on MySpace about her real estate, and I thought, I cannot imagine doing something like that. It feels so unprofessional to talk about work on social media. And then fast forward now, if you're not on social media, you practically don't exist. So we look at social media and we judge ourselves, but we don't look at the good. We only look at what someone else is doing compared to our bad. And that's not really fair to ourselves.
For sure.
Because we have so much going on.
No, definitely. I like that.
So what advice would you give to someone who's still trying to figure themselves out, their own personal brand?
It's putting in the work, making a plan, doing the audit. It's painful. It's really like stripping down. If you're talking about a personal brand and you're looking at a job change or a relationship, whatever it might be, you have to really look at yourself through some crystal clear glasses. Look at your social media. What kind of a person does that present? Because people look at social media when they're assessing someone. If someone wants to hang out with your kids, they're looking you up on social media. What kind of a family is this person hanging out with? So I would audit everywhere. Ask your people how you're perceived again, and leverage your relationships. If you're looking again for a job, your LinkedIn, how's your LinkedIn profile? How's your whatever needs to be adjusted? Make sure they're up to date. Get great photography, all of those kinds of things, and then decide who's your audience. So like, who are you trying to present this brand to, whether it's an entrepreneur or a new brand or a new relationship, whatever it is. And what does that relationship need? Like, what's the pain points that they are experiencing that you are the solution for? I like to tell people to write a mission statement, and it's whether it's a personal, I'm a woman who A, B, and C, loves her family, wants to work the hardest I can to have great outcome, whatever it is. And then every opportunity that you have, you can measure against your mission statement. So you can say, does this align with who I said I am and want to be? And if this opportunity doesn't really support that mission or goal, then that's not the right fit for me right now. And that kind of helps you, because we always have opportunities coming at us. If they don't align, then you can let that one go by so that you're prepared for the next opportunity. And be consistent. Everything needs to be consistent. We need to know that I'm going to, so reliability, the level of artistry, the aesthetic that you present, whatever it is, that needs to be what they can expect every time they do an interaction with you.
No, definitely.
Yeah. I really like that you had brought up, assessing yourself and making sure that your mission statement aligns with, if you're actually doing it. Because in a sense, it's keeping you accountable to live it and to be realistic. If it's just not meshing with you, then maybe you can adjust. And I think that there's room for compassion to be like, hey, maybe this isn't as important. Let's adjust and make a new mission statement that fits or that resonates.
Well, even in businesses, you know that what you think you're going to do sometimes is similar. I used to do a ton of Christmas cards for people, like 50 a year. Wow. And then all in 1 month. And I did a ton of wedding invitations and baby shower invites and announcements. And at some point I decided this isn't what my passion is. I want to work with businesses. I'm in this community. I want the business world of this community to thrive and succeed. And that's what I love thinking about and talking about. So I had to let those areas go. And it's not that there's a need. I have people asking me this year, can I do Christmas cards? I'm not doing those anymore, but maybe you can try this person or this person because this is what I want to do. So it's that kind of pivoting. And that's why people rebrand, because they start their businesses or rebrand. They start their business thinking, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do anything that anybody wants me to do. And then they fine tune as they grow. And then maybe your branding does or doesn't represent that anymore. And so that,
Well, I think that's the beauty of having a business evolve. It's like you are still optimizing and fine tuning and discovering, wait, what do I want to do now? I know how to make money, but now where's my passion? And then you start attracting people that appreciate, what you're trying to present out in the world or offer. Right. And so I think that's huge. And I like how you stated, with crystal clear lenses. I think that's the hardest thing to do at first, is to just be honest with yourself of like where you're at right now versus where you want to be. And then how do I fill that gap kind of thing. So I think that's huge.
And you can't be scared to say, I'm not going to continue in this path, even though it feels safe, because I need to have space and brain power available for this path. So that's a risk that we take, but it's a necessary risk.
Oh, definitely.
Well, Ego is a perfect example of rebranding. You know, we used to be Valley Wellness Center and Dr. 95350. And, you know, we kind of saw the concept of, yes, there's all natural health, and yes, there is beauty, but what if we can mesh them together? And which is where Ego was born. I mean, you were the creator of this.
No, I mean, for my inspo was like, okay, let's address the full person. Like, why are we just like promoting beauty over here and then wellness over here? It's like, I like both of those things. Most of our clients want both of those things. So let's create a brand that speaks to the entire person. Like, we're not here to solve one problem. Let's figure it all out.
Right.
And so I feel like you've helped me develop that name and that brand. And I feel like it's finally like, has traction with our clients.
Yeah.
They're not just coming in for one thing, they're coming in for a bunch of different things, and they're appreciating that full look at a person. And so, no, definitely that's our brand that we're trying to put out there, is like, yeah.
You guys have done a great job with that.
Oh, thank you. It's been fun. What advice would you give someone who's trying to pivot or reinvent themselves or their company when they're kind of used to a certain way of doing things, but they see the need to do so?
Dig deep to figure out what isn't working. So once you have that identified, you can start to solve that problem. And it is uncomfortable to do the work, but until you've uncovered the what isn't working, you can't really create the solution.
Oh, for sure.
So whether your audience has changed or your offerings have changed, your team is a different size, whatever it is, you have to identify the change that you need and then start to make an actionable step plan. So you know, make your goal, and then you make the steps, and then you start working on those steps that are going to achieve that change. Comprehensive, consistent, and I think making, even if it's a kind of a stretch, an investment in that change, whether it's a new branding or training, education, all of those investments give you greater self-confidence in the offering that you have. It launches you further into your expertise. It makes you feel like you're presenting yourself more professionally. If it's a personal brand, get your hair done, get your makeup done, get professional photography, have somebody work with you on the clothing that looks best on you, the colors that look best on you. There's great coaches on how to speak well in our city and how to speak publicly. I mean, on and on you could go on ways to make you feel and look more self-confident and prepared and articulate. All of those things are invaluable in how you present yourself.
No, I love that. And I think a huge thing that I've seen is like not being scared to try something and not like it and back up and pivot and try a different avenue, whether it's with the business or with your own personal self. I feel like we have to give ourselves permission to be uncomfortable for a while until it tracks and we find our happy points. I think a lot of the time we're too scared to even start.
Yeah.
And in reality, it's like, it's all a learning process. And even if certain people look like they have it together and they're branding themselves exactly kind of how you're wanting to head, it's like, you're going to figure out how to get there, but your own way. So you have to be open to the path looking a little bit, like a snake. What is that called?
Curvy,
a little different, not straight and narrow, but it's like, it's going to ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Well, and people don't talk about their failures. That's, I think that, wrong or right, we don't broadcast how many times we've fallen down. It's not fun, it's painful, but we all have.
For sure.
You have probably made decisions that you think, that was an expensive and painful mistake. I'm not going to do that again. And I have too. I've hired people that didn't work out. I thought we're going to do this and it's going to be great, and it didn't really pan out. That's just life. I mean, everybody has those experiences. And if you refuse to have them, then you can't grow and you can't learn.
Well, and I love that you mentioned that. I feel like recently I've had issues with that feeling of like, there's certain people out there, they see your success and they want to smear it or, fog the lens of people and make them view you in a different light. But I think something that's really saved our company is that we have established the brand of like, no, we're honest. We do everything above board. We have great customer service, great outcomes. And so when these certain people are kind of smearing us out there in the community, it's hard for those that know us to believe it.
Right.
And I love that we've kind of branded in such a way that people can't even believe the rumors and gossip out there. And that makes me feel better because I don't feel like I have to defend myself. It's like we're constantly branding in a consistent way. And so it's like the proof is in the pudding right there. Right. So I think that kind of happens too, whether personally or even in business. It's like, don't care about what other people are like whispering about. It's just live and breathe what you are. And those that you want around will be attracted to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Success is the greatest revenge.
True that. Yes.
So with all the knowledge that you have, all the experiences that you've gained, what advice would you give to your younger self?
This one is painful. I would say don't waste so much time believing in yourself and worrying about what people think and worrying about if it's professional enough. I am a very A-type personality, and I don't like things to go out if they're not perfect. And I stand behind the products that we put out 100%. I want complete satisfaction. And so if it's not, I don't want it out there. But so sometimes you just have to put it out there. So I wasted a lot of time being worried about things being just right. I wasted a lot of time not feeling self-confident. And you look back now and you think, oh man, if I was my less wrinkled, thinner, more younger self, what would I accomplish with like all of the brain that you have at 43?
No, totally. No, totally. And I think as women, we do put a lot of conditions on ourselves. And it's like you said, what does a successful woman look like to you? It's X, Y, and Z. But in reality, it's like you're going to become that if you have that aspiration and allowing yourself to go through the steps to get to that final place.
I had somebody tell me in our mid to late 20s going through a layoff, and the housing market was so difficult, and my husband got laid off. I had somebody say, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Your 40s are going to be the sweet spot. And it was like, who can wait that long? Number one, for the sweet spot. And how could it be any better? But it is. It's just like one foot in front of the other. And your life experiences. This is another one. After you've had those painful life experiences with work and family and illness and those things that we just live through, you look back and you go, okay, I lived through that. Now I know I can. But you didn't know before or in it. So that is a hard thing that you just don't know, but you have to trust that you're going to be fine. The other thing is, coming through those hard things with finances and housing and all of those kinds of things that we deal with, you only fail if you give up. If you sit down and say, that's it, I'm done, then you failed. Yeah. If you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that the next day and I'm going to try that the next day, then you succeed because you never stopped. And it definitely, that's the curvy road that you see, or the up and down on the peaks and valleys. But if you never stop, then you've never failed.
For sure. And the F word in my home is failure. And it really is like, I never fail. I learn. And the only way you do fail is if you don't learn from an experience. And because I know I have that ability to pivot.
Right.
So I feel like I'll tell my employees all the time, I'm like, if you make a mistake, that's not a problem. If you can be honest and own it and never do it again, like that's where I want you to be. Right. Yeah. So I think the only failure is really not learning from like a misstep or a situation or an investment. Definitely.
Yeah, and the ability to keep going and being consistent is how you learn resilience,
Yep.
right? How to bounce back.
Definitely. How do you, I know you're a very busy woman, but and you have kids, you have a husband. How do you balance work and where's your work-life balance? Like, how does that happen?
So my personal time, I always have said that anything that happens before 7:00 is mine. So I have to wake up early, but I get up and my twin sister and I are gym buddies. We go to the gym and that's our connect time, our talk about our kids or our husbands or our whatever work. So before 7 a.m. is my personal time. I have my quiet time. And then I'm very strict about turning the computer off. I haven't always been, but turning the computer off when people start rolling in at the end of the day and, family dinner, and I don't work on weekends because it turns out everything will get done. And it turns out everybody doesn't deserve something in less than 24 hours, even if they think that they do. Mm-hmm. So I shouldn't have to operate that way. And it took a long time for me to get my mind around, like, not just being on everybody's call list at, 24 hours, but that my family is number one. They've grown up watching, sitting beside me, watching the side of my head. So they've always known that work was an important part of life, and they've been good at keeping themselves occupied, but they always knew they were priority. So I, went to school plays and things that they, sports. And I've been grateful and that's why I structured the business the way I did, is so that I could be at those things. So it just makes you feel like, that mom guilt is a little bit less, that you've structured your life in a way that you can participate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. Setting boundaries on your working hours. I think I had to learn that lesson as well. I'm like, it will always be there tomorrow. There's always going to be a lot more work to do tomorrow. Yeah. And if I don't take this time now with my kids at the young age that they are, I'm going to miss out on something I can't ever get back.
Right.
I could always work more in the future, but I can't, like you said, be there for their little league games or whatever it is. So I think setting those strict boundaries on working hours is like actually a really big deal.
Yeah. The list is never done.
Yeah, that's true.
So just add it to tomorrow's list.
Is there anything that you're currently doing or working on for your health and overall wellness?
I think the gym is an important part of that, and the quiet time that I build into my day. We schedule date nights, my husband and I, around kids' sports. So if we have to drop them off somewhere, we'll just hang out together nearby and then pick them all up. Or
that's smart.
Just making the date, even if it's a 15-minute coffee before everybody's awake, or, turning off the TV and going and sitting in the backyard with a drink at night for a, time, just the two of you. Those kinds of things do wonders for the connection. With our kids, we try to be purposeful about one-on-one time and scheduling that in so that you don't feel like everybody's just going in different directions all the time.
Well, that's huge because I feel like your kids are sponges, and it's also like for me and making my marriage my priority, or that priority for me, it's like I'm showing my kids this is important for you in the future. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like every action you take and how you prioritize your time, it's like at the end of it all, they're going to like, mom and dad loved each other. They loved hanging out with each other. They made me a priority. They loved seeing my stuff. And so I think that goes like a very long way into even the next generation and your kids' happiness.
We also, again, I said I'm an A-type personality. I make a grocery list and a plan for the meals for the week. And on Friday mornings, I go grocery shopping. And I come home and I put it all away. And by then, people are starting to roll in. But it makes the whole week smooth because we have what we need. And, when you're stop working at 4 or 5 o'clock, that's not the time to decide what you want to eat that night, because it's always going to be takeout or a restaurant. So making that 15-minute, 20-minute task on a Wednesday night or a Thursday night for my Friday morning grocery shopping has changed our lives so dramatically, because then we have the food and teenagers, they're always hungry, so I have to have a plan for them. So that's one thing that has been very valuable for us as well.
That's awesome. And then you also know you can be assured, oh, my family's eating healthy things. Like, I think that's also gives you like a calmness as well.
Well, like you said in your introduction, one of my favorite things to do is cook, but you can't do what you love if you haven't prepared for it. So if I have the stuff, then when I log off, all I have to do is literally get it out and put it together instead of thinking of it and then going, to the store, and it just doesn't work on a weeknight.
Yeah, no, definitely. Are there any projects or goals right now that you're kind of working toward that you'd be comfortable sharing?
So our business is really growing, and our team is growing, and they're incredible gals with like-minded, they're passionate about business and passionate about family. It used to be that it was branding. That's what I was mostly focused on, and that's what I care very much about, and how things look and how they all work together, the whole system. But I would hand over their files and people would say, okay, now what am I supposed to do with it? Like, could you get me a jacket? Could you put this on my website? Can I get some business cards? And I need to do some ads. So I had to build extra pairs of hands to accomplish, like, not only are we going to create your brand, now we can actually make you a strategy. So we have marketing in a more comprehensive way, and we can help brands start to finish. We have promotional items is another area that we're growing more, the Gerbo promo brand. And that's whatever needs, whether it's marketing items that you are giving to your employees or your clients, or how it works in your marketing strategy. So those areas make it more comprehensive. The areas that we don't offer, for example, signage. We have community partners that we work with, that we trust, that are going to fulfill that area. Photography and videography, whatever it is, digital advertising, social media, all of those now are under one roof, so that they can come to Gerbo Designs and feel like they're going to take a hold of my business and do what we need to do. We're going to identify our goals, our strategies, and make it a complete push.
And then you're a one-stop shop.
Right.
Like, that's awesome.
I think also building relationships. Community relationships. This relationship is valuable. That has always been an important priority. One time somebody asked, how many clients do you have? And I thought, off the top of my head, 5 clients. That's how many I have. And they said, no, go look at your list. And actually, I had to figure out how to export it. And in the last 6 months, I'd had 150 clients. Well, those are all relations. They said, write down where those clients came from. All of them were word of mouth, or I knew personally, relationships. So that, to me, that's another thing way back at the beginning when you're talking about branding yourself. Those relationships are your business, especially service-based businesses, because they want to know you and trust you prior to doing business with you.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think that community involvement is really a big deal. And I think that's what's kind of helped us with marketing, getting our name out there, even the rebranding. It's like, I love working with other businesses in the community and giving different brands or businesses opportunity to come into our business and showcase themselves if it enhances, our clients' lives in that with whatever that perspective thing is. But that's one of our favorite things to do, is like work with our community around us and building word of mouth, like either through their company or just through a relationship or an event. I feel like that goes like a long way.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And also knowing which relationships serve you and which ones don't. It's also
Absolutely
part of the process you have to learn.
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sally, for joining us. I feel like this has been very insightful, and it just has been fun because I love working with you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And we are super excited to also have you at our manifesting event in December. This is going to be on the 10th. She's going to be one of our speakers, also talking about branding yourself. So everyone come and learn more and have the opportunity to ask her questions in person. So again, December 10th, 10 to 1.
Yes.
We look forward to it.
Thank you for listening listening to Awaken Your Ego, a podcast that explores biohacking and self-discovery. We hope you follow us on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date on what we're working on in your area.